Hello everyone, back to today's second video. So we're going to have a look at the weather for next week to 10 days in today's second video. This will take us to around the middle part of August, so we reach around the 14th of August with this update. Going to start off having a look at what's happening in the tropical Atlantic and Pacific. Things are very quiet in the tropical Atlantic at the moment, but they're a little bit more active in the Pacific, so I'll show you what's going on in terms of the tropical storm developments. Start off with the video, and then we'll come back close to home and have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. Talking of the weather next week, we've just released the weekend forecast. You can find that video on the page for weather forecast for the week ahead. We're starting off hot, but it is going to turn cooler and fresher from around the middle of the week onwards. Temperatures are going to start to lower, so have a look at that and see what you think. Right, so we're going to start off having a look at the National Hurricane Centre. So this is the latest in terms of the Atlantic as far as tropical cyclones and disturbances are concerned. We have got a yellow X just there in the middle of the tropical Atlantic Ocean. So it's kind of like a disturbance of thunderstorms, an area of thunderstorms. There's less than a 40% chance of this becoming a tropical development, tropical storm. So at the moment, not much happening in the tropical Atlantic, but that's more than we've had over the past few days, actually, because it has been a very quiet time in the tropical Atlantic Ocean over the last week or so. However, things are more active in the Pacific. So on the other side of the Caribbean and Mexico on the Pacific side, we've got all of this going on. So close to Mexico, there is this yellow X just here. That is, again, an area of thunderstorms. It's got less than 40% chance of becoming a disturbance. Then we've got these two red X's just here. They have a greater than 60% chance of becoming tropical storms, those two areas, in the next couple of days. And this one in particular just here has an 80% chance of becoming a tropical storm. So there's a very high chance that that is going to become a tropical storm in the next few hours. And then we've got Hurricane Hector just there. This is a major Category 3 hurricane that we've got in the central part of the tropical Pacific Ocean. It's moving out towards the middle part of the Pacific Ocean at the moment. As I say, it's a big storm, big hurricane indeed. This is its track, so it's expected to maintain major hurricane status over the next couple of days. That's where it is right now. That's where it's forecast to be by the end of Monday, just there. A major hurricane is a Category 3 or above hurricane, so it's got sustained winds of 120 miles an hour, this storm, with gusts in excess of that. Now, as we get through towards Tuesday and then on to Wednesday, it maintains hurricane status, but it does lose its major hurricane status, so it goes back to either a Category 2 or a Category 1. It may go to Category 4, this. I don't think they're entirely certain how much stronger it's going to get. They're expecting it to kind of wax and wane a little bit over the next couple of days, so it might at times get downgraded a little bit, then it might get upgraded. But overall, it is expected to maintain major hurricane status through to Monday, the end of Monday. So big storm going on there in the Pacific Ocean in terms of Hurricane Hector, and more developments downstream. So at the moment, all of the activity is in the Pacific, and it's a very quiet scene in the Atlantic. So we'll keep an eye on those developments, of course. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF here on the top. GFS is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 8,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure, low pressure being moved around by a jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure and blue to low pressure. These are the flowcharts for 7 to 10 days. So this takes us towards the middle of August. We find that we've got above average heights through the central part of the Atlantic, with below average heights up to the north and also over towards the west of Russia. The flow and the jet is coming in across the Atlantic a little bit like that. So it's a weak Atlantic flow that we've got going on there. It's not turning desperately unsettled, but it is certainly more of an Atlantic influence than we've had through most of this summer, which has been very dry and very hot, of course, through the course of this summer. So you would expect temperatures to be a bit lower with that. You'd expect risk of some showery conditions, particularly so for northern parts of the country. Again, it's not a washout of the period, but it's just a little bit more of an influence from the jet stream and from the Atlantic than we've had for a little while. However, GFS looks quite different in that it's got this big ridge actually just to the west of the country with the jet stream further north. So in the 7 to 10 day time frame, the GFS and the E70F are not really in agreement about this. The GFS has more of an influence from high pressure, which of course will be a drier and warmer scenario. These are the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average. So we're starting hotter than average at the moment. We're going to stay that way through the early part of the coming week. From Tuesday to Wednesday, we get this big drop in temperature. Look at Coventry today, by the way. From Tuesday to Wednesday, we get this big drop in the temperature. So it goes cooler than average through the middle part of the week. We're seeing the temperatures going a little bit below average until we get to the end of next week and through to the following weekend, and then we've got the temperatures lifting up, although not going back to the level of heat we're at the moment, but probably still a little bit on the warmer than average side, if anything. As far as rainfall is concerned, so plenty of dry weather coming up through this weekend and into next week. We have got some rainfall spikes just there as the temperature is dropping. That's probably due to showers being brought in on a west to northwesterly flow. Those shower conditions possibly take us up to around the 15th of the month. Then after that, it does look relatively dry. Temperature anomalies look like this. A little bit of a north-south split setting up for the week from the 4th to the 12th of August. So England and Wales coming out with warmer than average temperature anomalies again. But Scotland and Northern Ireland, actually the Republic of Ireland too, just a little bit cooler than average there in the weekend, which is something that we haven't seen for a little while. Also, southern parts of Norway or southwestern parts of Norway also coming out a little bit cooler than average. So possibly signs of a little bit of a cool down in the extreme northwest of Europe. However, most parts of Europe are coming out substantially warmer than average in the week ahead, and England and Wales coming out above average with temperature anomalies as well, and pretty dry too. So this is a precipitation anomaly from the 4th to the 12th of August. It's coming out drier than average at England and Wales. Most parts of the UK and Ireland coming out drier than average too. The far north of Scotland just a little bit wetter than average up there, but quite a dry scene to be honest in the week ahead. This is how the GFS is looking for Tuesday. So this is our changeover day. We've got a lot of heat across particularly southern and eastern parts of the country from those southerly winds on Tuesday, but much cooler and fresher winds are coming in from the north and the west. So you will think that might do something thundery, but there's not much sign of thunder at the moment for Tuesday. We will keep an eye on it and see if the risk of thunderstorms gets upgraded as these air masses clash with one another. But by the time we get through to Wednesday, we're firmly into that cooler and fresher west to northwest wind. So temperatures will drop by several degrees, particularly notable down in the south and the southeast. It's all covered by weekend forecasts, of course. That's Thursday and Friday, so at that point we're in this westerly flow, so obviously it's going to be cooler than the southerlies and easterlies that we've had through a lot of this summer, although still pleasantly warm, especially in the southwest where we're closest ridge from the Azores high. Next weekend looks a little bit unsettled, low pressure rolling in from the Atlantic, particularly affecting northern parts of the country. In the south we are close to this ridge of high pressure, always a bit drier and warmer there, but in the north we'll be quite unsettled. And then we go through to day 10, which is Tuesday the 14th of August. Basically we're keeping this north-south split going really. We've got high pressure ridging in from the Azores in towards France and then going over towards Germany and Eastern Europe. We've got low pressure up to the north and the jet stream is going to the north as well, something like that. Basically what's happening here is that instead of having the ridge from the Azores to Scandinavia, looks like we're setting up the ridge now from the Azores through France, possibly southern England into Germany. So everything's been shunted several hundred miles further south, and because the ridge has been shunted several hundred miles south, So the jet stream has come several hundred miles south too, with the areas of low pressure. So this is bad news for Scotland if you want dry and warm weather, because you're being impacted by the jet stream a little bit more and those areas of low pressure. But high pressure is still very close to England and Wales, keeping things not as hot as it has been, but mainly dry and quite warm up to the middle part of August. Just a little bit beyond day 10, we actually bring this low pressure in across many parts of the country, so a little bit more unsettled there around middle of the month. And then we go back to that idea again of the Azores high ridging through the south of England, trying to get up towards Scandinavia this time. So in the second half of August, actually begin to try and get back to that pattern anyway of the high pressure in the central Atlantic ridging through the UK, and notice high pressure beginning to come back over Scandinavia, and that's sending the jet stream up to there. Therefore, which would mean drier and warmer conditions for all parts of the UK, and Scotland will be included in that too. ECMWF is looking like this, so again very warm in the east and south through Monday and Tuesday. By Wednesday we're going into cooler and fresher air mass. That takes us into next weekend where it is looking cooler. It'll be showery in the north, probably a reasonably dry end to the week down in the south. Over the weekend that looks quite unsettled. This is trough as low pressure moves in off the Atlantic. That will bring showers or longer spells of rain, perhaps even into southern parts of the country, but particularly so to the north. That's how we finish up by day 10. And again, we've got the high pressure out to the southwest of the country, ridging through France, just about getting into the south of the UK, south of England. But at the same time, we've got low pressure up to the north. And the jet stream is just that little bit further south than it has been, particularly affecting parts of Ireland and Scotland too. And then finally, the GM looking like this. So a hot start to the week, then cooler by Wednesday, showery and cooler conditions to the end of the week. Next weekend, looking rather changeable. The south always close to this ridge across France and Germany, so for the south reasonable amount of dry weather, but more unsettled up to the north. By Sunday, next Sunday, Sunday 12th of August, it may be turning more generally unsettled across the whole of the country. Up to day 10, that's how we look, and at that point still looking rather showery, although notice heights are starting to rise again over Scandinavia. We're trying to get the Azores high to build that ridge to the Scandinavian high. That's been the pattern of the summer, really, with the high pressure building from the Atlantic, from the Azores, from the UK, Scandinavia. The GM is trying to begin to get back to that by day 10, but of course it might not be successful. So we can say, I think we'll set up a bit of a north-south split here for the next week to 10 days. It does look more unsettled and changeable for the north, and cooler as well. In fact, all places will be cooler than they have been, but particularly notable in the north. In the south, we're going to be close to this ridge of high pressure, so it's not going to be too bad at all. Temperatures will be lower than they have been, but still pleasantly warm, especially for southern and southeastern parts of the country. A lot of dry weather to come in the south as well, because we're still close to that ridge from the Azores high. So north-south split as we head towards middle part of August. It means that it's fairly bad news if you like dry and warm weather for the north, but for the south, really we're maintaining dry and warm conditions, but temperatures won't be as hot as they have been. It does look as though the intense heat, the real heat, is going to be draining away from Tuesday through to Wednesday. For a time, anyway, it might come back after the middle part of the month, but for a time, from Tuesday to Wednesday, we are having a cool down, and we're going from being hot or very hot in the south to sort of warm to very warm. Right, tomorrow we'll have some autumn analogues for you, and we'll also have the Gauss of this Sunday roundup, so come back for that tomorrow. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.